So we've got a fun Wednesday. I'm in a 2014 Volvo V40. It's got 107,000 miles on it. And it's a 1.6 diesel. And it's been a really great little car. It's a daily driver for my wife, and it's been a fantastic little car. But yesterday, the stop-start on it, it stopped in a traffic situation and then wouldn't restart. So I suspect that it's the starter motor, because there is absolutely nothing happening. I think we've got the solenoid clicking, but there's nothing happening. So I'm going to jack the car up, get the under trays off, and try and apply voltage or power straight to the starter motor to see what happens. So the starter motor will have a permanent live and then an ignition live. So if we can fire up the ignition live and nothing happens, we know it's the starter motor. If the starter motor fires into life, we know we've got another electrical problem, which is probably maybe an earth or an immobilizer issue or something along those lines. But I wouldn't have thought it was an immobilizer issue because of the way it stopped. If it had been parked up for a day or two and then didn't start, then that could be a thing. But because it was in traffic and it was the stop start, it would seem like that's the starter motor is probably the issue. Again, that would indicate that it's the starter motor, because it obviously started 10-15 minutes before that without a problem, which would suggest that all the electrics are doing what they're supposed to be doing. But you never know. So let's try and energize the starter motor and see what happens.
Get a camera angle right. So I am under the car. It's not jacked up very high because this was just a quick check, but let me show you.
So there is our starter motor, and it is not reacting at all to us applying power to it. So we're going to assume that it is the starter motor and start there. So we'll put this back together for the time being and get a starter motor on order, which is great because they're not particularly cheap, but see where we go from there. So it's now a week later and I've finally got a new starter motor. I ordered this from Autodoc, and they, on the website, take 1 to 2 days, and it was a fantastic price, but it's taken a week. So, that's fine. Apart from that whole week I was waiting, it was glorious sunshine, would have been perfect weather to do the job. And today it's raining, and it's going to be a pain to do the job in the rain. But we're going to get out there and we're going to do it. Car's sat in the same place because can't move it. So I've got to get the battery jacked up, battery disconnected, get underneath the car, get the old starter motor off, which is going to be a pain because these parts are, the bolt's difficult to get to, and they appear to be different sizes as well, which will be awkward. But going to get that done, and then we'll have a look at the old one, get the new one, and see where we go from there. Okay, so that's the old motor out of the old starter motor out of the car. So just want to double check that this is the problem, there isn't some other electrical problem. So I've got a 12-volt battery down here, some jump leads, just put the negative onto the body, positive onto, well, there's a constant live, which is here, and that's doing nothing, and then the actual spin up is doing nothing as well. If we compare that to the new one, The constant live causes the motor to jump, and then the start causes it to spin up. So definitely the starter motor, bit of a fiddly job. I'll show you what you've got to do on this one because I didn't video taking it out, mainly because you've got to get your hands around it and everything. But the key to it all, let me just disconnect that battery, is you've got 3 bolts. They're all 10mm, though this one here is a slightly smaller thread, so it just slides in and then you bolt it up. It's not difficult, it's just in a fiddly place. So you've got to get under the car, and you've got the exhaust coming down from the manifold that is a bit in your way, and I'm quite big, so if you've just got it up on axle stands, it's quite difficult. And at the moment I haven't got a jack that I can get it really high on axle stands, and I don't particularly like doing that anyway. And then you've just got to put the electrical connectors on, and that's dead easy once you're in. There is maybe an argument for trying to connect them up before everything's tightened, so you've got a bit of wiggling around, because you've got this very small one here that you can't get to very easily once it's bolted in. But it does kind of seat itself. The connector's designed to sit on top of here, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. Famous last words, but it only took me 20 minutes to get that out. So we'll get this one back in, and hopefully that's us sorted. We shall soon see. Okay, so when you're going back in with this, you've got this little nub on here which the bolt goes through. One of these ones goes in through here, through the chassis and in through here. So not there, the engine, and through here. So that helps you seat and mount it properly. But let's have a look and see how we're going to get this back in. So this is really difficult to show you because I haven't got a lot of room, but you have got the electrical connector just here, and this is where we're going to mount up in here. So I'm going to slide it in, see if I can just loosely tighten up the bolts. Then I'm going to concentrate on the electrical connector, because I think that's going to be a little bit tricky, and that's got compression washers on it, and then tighten up the rest of the bolts. Okay, so that's the new motor all in. Let's try and focus a little bit here. That bolt is fine, this top bolt is fine. There's one right at the back around here that is a bit of a nightmare. The easiest thing to do is just put this one and this one in. So this one here and the one that's up here, if I can focus, in first, but not quite fully on because you need a little bit of wiggle room. Then we've got the connector here is on. I've just got to tighten up the washers and the bolts. So we'll just get the battery hooked back up, and then we'll be able to give it a test. Okay, so that's very fiddly to do when you've only got the car jacked up a little bit off the ground. And as I say, I don't have a jack to lift it high enough so I can put the axle stands higher at the moment. And so, you know, it is what it is. So it's quite fiddly trying to get your arms around the exhaust, around the axle and the gearbox and all that kind of thing. But totally doable. Hasn't taken long. It's half an hour to take the other one out, old one out, half an hour to put the new one in. The power supply is a little bit difficult to just put on there, but it's only a little bit. It's not really hard or anything. Okay, so and now to see what happens. I've wired the battery back up. Let's see where we go. Okay, so we've got the key. In the key goes. We have got lights and everything. Foot on the brake, and fingers crossed. Yes! All running. ESC temporarily off. I suspect that's because the suspension is extended, but so the body control module's wondering what's going on. But I'll get it off the jacks and then we'll plug it in and away we'll be able to go. Right, I'll get it all packed up, get the under trays back on, bonnet shut, all of that sort of stuff. Let's just talk about the cost of the starter motor. Okay, so let's talk about cost of starter motors. I complained about Autodoc because it said on the website that delivery is generally 1 to 2 days, and it took a week. But it was, the starter motor was £140. I contacted my local Volvo dealership and they wanted 460, plus there was a 50 or 60 pound surcharge until I returned this one, because they rewind them, which I didn't have with the other one. I mean, I had a look over the new one from Autodoc. It was, you know, it looks good quality. It looks exactly the same as this one that I've taken off. In fact, the soldering and the casing and everything else probably looks a little bit better, but this is obviously got 107,000 miles on it. So, you know, I know none of us probably buy from main dealerships, but you always check, because on the odd occasion they are cheaper. But they would have got 10 out of 10 if delivery timescales had been sensible, or even if it was just an option to, you know, pay a bit more and have a faster delivery. So, but there's lots of options out there. I mean, Euro Car Parts do them. There's loads of other people that do them. You could even buy them on Amazon, though they seemed really cheap, like 60, 80 pounds, and I was sort of quite nervous about that, because there's quite a chunk of hardware for such a small amount of money. And if you look at it and go, oh, £460, okay, that kind of makes sense. But obviously there's thousands and thousands of them being produced. It's not just Volvos. I mean, that engine's used in Fords, Peugeots, all sorts of things. So, you know, there's a lot of these parts around, and this starter motor will fit on more than just that engine as well, that engine type. So, you know, they are built in big numbers, but only time will tell. We'll see how it gets on. That car's got a stop-start as well, so we'll see. But I could effectively nearly replace it 3 times over for the, not that I want that hassle, for the money the main dealership wanted. So yeah, there we go. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this sort of stuff, or want to see me do more little projects on Volvos, Land Rovers, and quite an exciting car to come, then please like and subscribe. Cheers.